Good morning, everybody, and a happy Monday morning to you. I hope everybody is having a great start to their week. We have a lot to cover in here. Oprah Winfrey just took another swipe at Harry and Meghan over their security fight in the UK. Number 2, Harry is now fighting again for his security. Number 3, Meghan is still pretending to be Diana. There's so much going on in here, so let's just jump in and get busy, shall we? Let's go. We're starting off with the Commonwealth Games and who won bronze, who won silver, and who won gold. And for those in the UK, you'll be happy to know that England's Mark Swan powerlifted at the Commonwealth Games and he got his first gold by a fraction of a point. So he claimed one of the first gold medals of the Commonwealth Games. Good for him. Prince Edward was there. He attended the Commonwealth Games for the third day in a row, and he presented Mark Swan with his gold medal following the men's lightweight Group A powerlifting. So it was the official day 1 of the competitions. He also watched artistic gymnastics and 3x3 basketball. And just for those of you who don't know, Edward is vice patron of the Commonwealth Games Federation, and he attends to support events. FYI, Nigeria's Fola Shade took gold in her category next to England's Olivia Broom, who I showed you at the beginning. Now, next up, we have Edward's fabulous wife, Sophie, the Duchess of Edinburgh. She sent her best wishes to a determined youngster days before she undertakes an enormous 1,000-mile cycle. Let's let you hear the message.
Hello, Chloe. I'm sending you my warmest wishes as you and your family prepare to cycle from Land's End to John O'Groats to raise money for Trelaws and Pals. This is an enormous feat of endurance, and having done my own cycle challenge 10 years ago, I am so proud of you. It takes a lot of effort. I'll be thinking of you as you set off on the 26th of July, and I look forward to you telling me all about it when we meet again. Take care and good luck.
The girl who's doing this is 17 years old, and she's doing it to raise money for 2 separate charities. And of course, Sophie previously undertook a cycling challenge, which ended at Buckingham Palace. It was a 445-mile bike ride over 7 days. And she did that back in 2016 to complete her Diamond Challenge cycle ride. And then she took another charity cycle ride back in 2021. It was in her role as patron of sight loss charity Vision Foundation. Wonderful. Let's move on now to the Duke of Gloucester. Past Wednesday, he went to the National Railway Museum to view their plans for their ambitious multi-million-pound transformation. Now, during his visit, the Duke toured some of the museum's most iconic exhibits, including the Duke of Gloucester cab. That's a full-size replica locomotive cab that was originally designed as a working model for engine men to test its layout. Pretty cool. Let's keep going. I think he looks great, and I love the fact he's still working. All right, we're going to move on now to Princess Anne, the Princess Royal. She went to the Emirates Great Britain sail team to hear about their rapid growth and their investment in Britain's innovation and engineering and development of its expanding permanent technology facilities in Southampton. So during her visit, she met the athletes from Great Britain and across the international fleet. She toured their race boat. She explored the championship cutting-edge wing technology. She experienced their sailing simulator. She saw firsthand how billions of data points are used to enhance performance. She saw officiating and live television broadcasts. This race is taking place, by the time you see this, it took place on Saturday and Sunday, with 13 national teams racing in identical catamarans. Don't forget that Princess Anne was there in her role as president of the Royal Yachting Association, and that's why she went. She went to gain some insight into the world-leading engineering, technology, and workforce behind what has now become one of the world's fastest-growing sport and entertainment properties, which I agree. And I think she looks fabulous. I love it. All right, let's move on. Whiskey makers thanked King Charles for helping to persuade Donald Trump to end tariffs on scotch after the change came into effect. Distillers said it was the king's efforts during his state visit and that it would strengthen exports already worth nearly $1 billion a year. And that's exactly what happened. So this is diplomacy. This is soft diplomacy. Thanks to the king, he convinced Trump to do something. That's quite a feat, let me tell you. All right, let's move on. All right, moving on. I'm not talking about this because of the case. I'm bringing this up because I saw it and I did not know that you could strip a knighthood. But apparently King Charles has stripped the knighthood from this guy. He's a convicted pedophile. So apparently a notice was published in the Gazette, which we know is a UK official public record journal, confirming that Charles had directed the cancellation and annulment of the title. I had no idea that you could give somebody a knighthood and take it back. I found that interesting. All right, let's move on. Ooh, all right. We're going to move on now to Sarah Ferguson's charity, Sarah's Trust. You guys remember that in February, they said they were going to close for the foreseeable future after new details emerged that she had stayed in contact with Jeffrey Epstein. This charity was established in 2020, dedicated to supporting frontline grassroots work to address humanitarian and environmental crisis, hunger, and issues that perpetrate cycles of extreme poverty. So in February, a spokesperson said the decision to close had come after, months of discussion. They didn't provide any more details behind the decision to close at that time. And now we know that it's being closed down permanently. Let me back up. It actually was founded in 2018, but it didn't become active until 2020. And the idea was to connect philanthropists with grassroots causes. So we know that the court files and the media reports exposed messages between Sarah and Epstein way after his conviction, and also multiple British organizers, including the Teenage Cancer Trust and Julia's House, then dropped Sarah as a patron or ambassador. So while Sarah is at one of the lowest points in her public and private life and she's broke, I told you the other day that her ex-boyfriend Paddy McNally passed away. He left a £600 million or $800 million fortune left behind. And people seem to think that somehow she's going to get some of this windfall. Now, apparently, she was being sheltered at his $20 million Swiss chalet after she was evicted from Royal Lodge. So it'll be interesting to see if he left her any money. It's one thing to be a friend and let somebody stay in your house. It's another thing to leave them cash, with everything she's done. I'll be interested to see what happens. All right, let's move on to Oprah. I showed you the other day how she gave an interview with Vanity Fair. Well, what you guys might not know is that there was more to that interview. Do you remember when Harry said,
like the rest of my family are, my father and my brother, they are trapped. They don't get to leave. And I have huge compassion for that.
So after revisiting that in the Vanity Fair, Oprah looks at the camera and goes, quote, "If you don't want to be bothered, stay home. If you want to keep your privacy, then don't go out. If you want to go to a restaurant and you want to have, you're having dinner out and people are coming up from all over the place, then stay home and eat." And that's been my approach. Unbelievable. So she took a swipe at them. She's backpedaling is what she's doing. She's upset. But let's clarify here, just so you guys know, Harry may be royal, Meghan isn't. She was only in that family for 18 months. She's not royal. She wants people to think they are. And just as an FYI, don't forget, we've seen the Wales family eating out in country pubs, unbothered by press or public. Catherine walked up 3 mountains unbothered. It can be done. But no, Meghan wants people to think that everybody wants her. But the point is, Oprah, who started this whole brouhaha with that interview, is now backpedaling on what she said. This is coming up because we heard before their trip to the UK, Harry was lobbying once again the Home Secretary to reinstate taxpayer-funded security for his visit with Meghan and the kids. And we found out, of course, that was denied. So here's what's going on. He has a fresh security setback. His long-running battle for police protection is stalled out due to official backlogs and repeated denials from Ravik. Now, a promised risk management board assessment to review his security needs has been heavily delayed because security officials are tied up managing protection details for former prime ministers. Ravick continues to turn down Harry's request for guaranteed 24-hour-a-day state-funded police protection during his family's visits to Britain, keeping his status on a restricted case-by-case evaluation basis. Remember, his private bodyguards that travel with him from the United States cannot legally carry firearms on UK soil, and he feels that this leaves him vulnerable without official British police support. He's scheduled to return back to the UK in September for his Well Child Awards. And then, of course, we have the 2027 Invictus Games, although we don't even know if that's going to go forward or not. When it comes down to it, what Harry doesn't understand, that even if he got a legal victory, he's lost all public and political support. It's a public relations crisis that even a courtroom can't fix. A legal win might force the government to reconsider his protection, but it would backfire in the court of public opinion. The British public remains fiercely opposed to funding round-the-clock police protection for a non-working royal who chooses to live abroad, that is a super rich, who's earned millions upon millions upon millions of dollars slamming his own family. And the narrative that the police have put out that they are not a private security service for hire for the ultra wealthy is absolutely correct. And forcing taxpayers to bankroll his security during an economic squeeze is viewed as out of touch. And let me tell you, that would backfire on the monarchy massively. So yeah, he's not going to win. All right, I wanted to just touch on this article. I think it's important. I think William was really incensed by Harry's audacity to think he can just waltz back into royal life, that he's boycotting family events in the foreseeable future. That's what's being said, that after his homecoming after 4 years, and Harry's grinning and smiling like the cat who ate the cream. But we soon learn that his attempt to kill his brother with kindness is failing. So he's sending messages through friends. He's sending messages through the podcast. He's putting out childhood memories about how Diana would hug them both and hug William as tight as possible after a tough day and blah, blah, blah. It's not going to happen. William is over him. He should understand that, but he doesn't. I mean, this guy's deluded if he thinks he can do everything that he and his wife did for the last 6 years and then just turn around and get accepted back. It is being said that Charles Spencer gave them a warm welcome and that they'll always choose the Spencers over royal residences from now on in the future. However, I got to tell you, don't forget Harry wanted to change his surname to Spencer, and Charles Spencer said no, because he didn't want his family dragged into this mess with Harry and Meghan. I don't think it was as warm as everybody thinks it is. I have to tell you, the way they're trying since the reunion to put themselves back in with the royals, Lilibet has inherited Diana's love of water, just because she's being thrown in a pool. But let me just tell you what I think about these pictures. It hasn't been that long since Meghan, remember, was in Geneva warning the public about the dangers of social media. She's preaching to everybody about the dangers of digital and social media spaces for children. Harry lectured people, don't post photos of your children online. And then here they are showing pictures of their daughter in a bathing suit. So that just goes to show you again the level of unbelievable hypocrisy. And the picture that Meghan shared of the family traipsing off to Diana's grave shows that she has no shame, no respect. Harry is no different. And frankly, Charles Spencer should be appalled. It's sickening. You want to send pictures of your children on holiday, that's fine. But to show pictures of your kids carrying flowers on their way to lay them at Diana's grave is not something that should be shared with the public. Well, GB News had something to say about this that was spot on. Listen to this.
They're lovely photographs. If you see them, they're very, very nice. We've still got back shots of the kids, which is fair enough. They don't want anybody to see their faces, which is fine. We don't know where the pictures are actually taken. We believe that some of them were taken at Althorp. We think that the black and white one of Harry and Meghan was taken at a restaurant in Portugal. And the one where they're going into the sea, That could be Portugal or California. Who knows? The problem, as you quite rightly say, is you have to take this with a bit of suspicion. What are they going to use these photographs for eventually? Are they going to use them in this so-called Harry documentary that he's preparing for a tribute to his late mother to mark the 30 years of the anniversary? And what other pictures are going to crop up? Meghan doesn't do these sort of things they're not just happy family shots. They're going to be used for other things as well.
Because I find it a little bit unbelievable. And the reason why is not because they're not nice pictures and maybe they were having a nice time. It's just that there's almost like in front of you, you can see how cruel they've been to members outside their immediate family. And when you see that, every time I see these shots, I think, yeah, but how they treated the Queen. Our late Queen. And I look at it and think, yeah, but you wrote that book, didn't you? And yeah, but you haven't spoken to Dad, Meghan. In fact, Harry's never met him. And yeah, he was almost dying and you never went to see him. In fact, he is dying still. He's very, very old. You still haven't gone to see him. I can't take these people seriously. I don't believe they have any empathy.
You're absolutely right. All these sort of things make you doubt what their ultimate motives are. And let's not forget, these pictures were released the day after the picture of Prince George was released to mark his 30th birthday. Now, when the Waleses release pictures, it's for a purpose, like a birthday or an event that they're going to. Harry and Meghan, you got to be suspicious that they just did it to sort of try and take the gloss off that. But you're right. You cannot separate the fact that these are nice, happy pictures, but with all the other baggage that they have, you have to be suspicious of it.
Of course, Piers Morgan had something to say. He basically just looked at the camera, rolled his eyes, and goes, privacy. Well, he's absolutely correct. Now, really quickly, before we move on, I just had to touch on this. People wouldn't be saying anything about Harry and his hair loss if he hadn't said something about William in his book Spare. He said William's hair loss was, quote, alarming and more advanced than my own. Yeah, well, if he hadn't made fun of his brother's hair loss, I don't think anybody would be saying anything about his hair loss, but he's catching up to William very quickly. And finally, people are talking about how creepy it was that Meghan copied Diana's bathing suit. Well, we know she's copied her through the years. We know that she was obsessed with her, even though she claims not to know who she was. She was obsessed with her and her wedding before she married Harry. Then, after she left the palace, she claimed the palace made her dress that way to try to get some of the Diana sparkle, which we all know is untrue. So here's pictures. I tried to put them in order of before the palace, during the palace, and after the palace, including mannerisms. Some of these you may have seen before, but I guarantee some you haven't. So sit back, kick back, grab a drink, and watch this.
never slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past. And the pettiness, a reflection of the emptiness. Hilarious, you think you're worth my time, you're delirious. Mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior. Inferior, you know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains at last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
You know, I firmly believe the reason she still dresses like Diana since leaving the family, when the palace is no longer forcing her to do it according to her, is because she has to keep the facade up for Harry. I'm telling you. All right, you guys know what I want. Put those comments down. Make it good. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, a link to my father's book, which remains up for sale on Amazon, a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who have donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.